Hey everybody, so I'm here with my XR650R. I need to replace the wheel bearings, but however, I don't have the stock hubs anymore. I have the Warp 9 hubs, rims, spokes, braking, and well, they use the same sprocket, but it's a different rotor than stock. So if you have the Warp 9 sub, which is awesome by the way, so contact them over at Warp 9 and talk to Kevin and possibly mention me and you might get a little discount. I've heard people do that and they got a little discount. So if you want a whole setup for your bike, just mention Meeker Extreme and that you saw a couple of videos, because I have a few videos on the rims, and they might hook you up. It never hurts to ask, and I don't make any promises because things are always changing with companies, but hey, ask and you might receive. But I noticed a few issues with my bike, so I ordered some parts. So I got in the Honda, this little guy, and that is for the chain. That's for down in the guide. Mine is missing, which I didn't notice. And I also got the 2 bolts that go for that. And I hope that's all I need because I'm not quite sure. It didn't show any nuts in the diagram, so hopefully I can just bolt this back in. Otherwise, I'll probably just have to buy the new white piece, which isn't much. It's like 22 bucks. These are wear items, so it's not that big of a deal. I've had it on forever. So I bought one of those. That's the bolt for it from Honda. I got Honda brake pads. These are the front. So got those. Another bolt. They come individually. And apparently these come on a long sheet. I got 3 just to get my free shipping from Rocky Mountain ATV. And there's the little plugs for the caliper. They tend to seize. So anyways, I got 3 of them. Not gonna really bother, but have them on hand for next time. And got the Honda rear pads. I put on new Honda rear pads. I wanted to see how they look after being on with a pretty bad rotor. I'll probably just use these anyways with the new rotor and then just save those others as just in case type. Better than nothing, you know. And so from Warp 9, I got the bearing kit, seals, and it comes with the middle spacer. They only charged like 15 bucks for this, I believe. It wasn't much. I was like, wow, that's not much. He goes, yeah, well, we make these affordable for people that bought our rims. We're not trying to make a killing on them. So that was awesome. And then these are extra, but I went ahead and got the spacers because mine on this side, the sprocket side, is chewed up. That's the bad bearing. And they wrote on them. One's rotor. Well, I guess they just wrote on the one. And they are slightly different. So if you have Warp 9, make sure they're correct. Match them up to what's in there too, because the XL one, the Honda XR650L, not the R like I have, they basically use the same setup except the spacers are different. Had that issue when they sent me the rims originally, and it turned out it was the spacers were for an L, not an R. So I'll be checking on those when I go install it. Here is the rear rotor. It's so nice and meaty. I'll probably take a measurement here soon, but we'll compare it. I know that one's below the probably minimum. I'm gonna guess it is. It is nice and meaty compared to what's there. So if you want to know how much this was, I believe this was like 70 bucks. So not bad. And here's the front. Figure if you're gonna do it, you know, you do the front too. Gotta keep this bike safe for my riding and for whoever gets this bike. At least be somewhat, you know, safe, and not too many things need to be, you know, fixed up on it. Still working on how to give it away. Don't know how. Still figuring that one out. I'm also circling back to liking the idea that a lot of people had is just sell it and donate money to whatever group I want to donate to. So might go that route even. For some things I prefer the metric system, so I set the calipers to metric and zeroed it out. And let's see. 3.01. Take another reading. Just get 2 spots. 3.0. 3.00. So, you know, they're just cheap calipers, so that's, we'll just say 3 mil. 4.01, yeah, so probably 4 mil. I can check the rear one now and give you that reading. 3.487, 3.47. The front one actually is still 3, and you know, I felt it. There's a little bit of groove, but it's actually fine. So I might just not put on the front one. Maybe I'll put it on right before giving the bike away, because, well, I really won't have a need for it now, will I? So just definitely the rear one could use replacing because it's worn down. It's definitely worn a little odd, where right here it's worn deeper than on the outside of the slots. My favorite axle wrench, 27 millimeter for the bolt. A Craftsman, nice big Craftsman. I just cut the end off and made it nice and rounded, and that's what I've always used. It's a little on the heavy side, but you're not going to break it. You can use it to hit things. Works pretty good. Works on my gas too, same size. And plenty of leverage, and it fits in the Klein bag, tool bag, just fine. I can take the chain off here. Well, and mainly because I don't have the piece in there, so we'll get to that here in a minute. So to the side. I just had this all apart, and that's when I found the bearing was shot, and I just loaded it up with grease before the last ride. But yeah, it needed replaced, but I couldn't get the bearings in before that ride. So we got one spacer, which this one still might be good. I'll clean it up and check it out. If it's still good, I'll keep it as a spare. Maybe whoever, if I give this bike away, whoever ends up getting the bike, maybe I'll give them a bunch of parts, because I have a bunch of stuff for it. So the best method is get a big tall bucket. My wife gets these from her work. They're food grade, nice and tall. And it's my height in this chair. So it works pretty good. You should be able to just take a tire spoon and go like that and pop out the seal. And it doesn't wreck the seal. Tire spoons are rounded, so no sharp edges. So potentially you could reuse that, but we got new ones, so why would I? Okay, flip it. On that side. You can either use a heavy-duty screwdriver, or if you have like a rod, I usually have a shorter one, but I don't know where it is. And if you can catch an edge in there. Okay, as you probably heard, it fell out, so I'll take a look. Here's the bearing. You can see most of the balls are missing. So that is a bearing. That is this piece. That's a that looks like the seal to the bearing for one side. Okay, so what do we got going on here? Why would there be two bearings on one side? Because there's two bearings on one side. There's a whole nother bearing here. I'm looking over at my bearings they sent. There's 3 bearings. I didn't know that. Well, interesting. So I guess I don't have that pounded out yet. That's gonna make this side a little easier because that dropped out the tube. So what came out this time is the other bearing. There we have it. Actually, that is smoother than it seemed when I was checking it. That bearing's actually still good, but you know, all I'm gonna do with this is get the number off it, which is a 6905 RS. 6905 RS bearing. So one side's that. They all might be the same, I don't know. That's the center, tube. Now, all these are technically wear components. So it's amazing. I got this plus 3 bearings for 15 bucks. And I think another, I want to say 15 or 20 bucks for the spacers. Okay, so we go back like that. Now I can see into this. Now I can see into this really, really good. So pop this out. There we go. Just go from side to side. I could have probably added a little more heat, but it's fine. Now you clean everything up inside. I'll show you clean the outside too, because insert the new ones will heat the hub back up.